Why does government want to go after Amish people selling their neighbor's milk? Why are they harassing organic farmers? Why are they trying to arrest women with gardens in their yard? You've seen all that craziness. Worse than the old Soviet Union. Because the global technocrats, the Fortune 100, owned by the big six mega banks, want to shut down normal, human, self-sufficient society. And to do it, to shut down true independent sustainability, they bring in the counterfeit UN Agenda 21 sustainability. Now here's an example of this on the wide scale. Look at Greece. You've seen the news articles about all these hundreds of Greek islands. They have hundreds of them, some of which have now been transferred for $6 billion in debt, one island alone, that were owned by the state and the people, have been given to the big mega banks and brokerage firms that actually induced Greece into debt. Do you understand that? They're taking their national and state parks and public lands and giving it to the same big brokerage firms that entice their government to get involved in all this fraud and to sign on to the derivatives that they created. So to bail out the bankers, you then also give them your property. So back in '97, I learned about the executive order Bill Clinton had put into place, transferring our national parks and other key monuments and public lands and buffer zones worth trillions of dollars overall, the minerals, everything, over to the UN as collateral to the IMF and World Bank, just as you see happen in third world countries where the IMF, World Bank come in and take the land. We had the executive order, we had the Kentucky legislature talking about it. I traveled around the country and I would pull into the Grand Canyon, you name it, and politely walk in and say, I'd like to talk about the UN plaque, I'd like to talk about what's happening, and they would blow up and threaten to arrest me, and that's on tape at the Grand Canyon and other places in America, Short by Design. So I've decided to travel back across the Southwest and visit some of the same national parks and some others that I hadn't visited in that film, like Carlsbad Caverns here in southern New Mexico. And that's why Infowars.com, Infowars Nightly News, is here. That's why we're covering this information. Now, I came here several times as a child. I came here in college. I came here 6 years ago with my wife and 2 children. Now I have a 3rd child. I wanted her to see it before she gets too big. We're here again as part of this research project. I brought my family along on the RV. From the minute we get here, it's changed since 6 years ago. I'm going to run over just some of it, because one thing alone is not a big deal. But as it added and built up, Richard kept saying, well, wonder what's going to happen next. We walk in, and I see some of the park rangers with tasers and guns walking around all tough guy like they're in an airport or something, and terrorists must be everywhere, okay? So I think, well, whatever. You know, maybe they're Forest Service or something. I don't know why they need guns and tasers, but okay. Everything's okay in America. Same visitor center I've been to many times. The elevator ride down, 800 feet and all of it. So then I go up to the counter, and I go up, and I was wondering why there was one group ahead of us and why it took so long to get them through. And I thought, man, these people are slow. So I get up there. There's hardly any tourists here today. There's literally more park rangers than there are tourists. I probably saw 40 or 50 total. About 20 at one time. So I get up there and I find out why. I'm being interrogated. I'm being told rules. And I'm being asked if I've ever been in mine shafts or caves recently and where. And I said, no, 6 years ago here. I thought it was small talk, but she was asking it real stern, like I was, you know, TSA or something. She was TSA and I was at the airport. And I said, no, I told you I'm here 6 years ago. And she goes, really? Not anywhere on the East Coast or anywhere there. And I said, no. I said, I've been here the last cave. Well, what other caves you been to? One in Mexico one time, a decade ago or more. A couple around Texas. What caves in Texas? I don't remember the names. And I was like, what's this all about? She goes, you don't worry about that. Here's your tickets. And then I went and asked another ranger, and I said, is it that white nose fungus stuff? And he said, yeah. And my mom's so educated, she goes, so informed, she goes, but the Mexican brown bat isn't susceptible to that. And he goes, wow, how do you know that? But the point is, then we walk past that, and a ranger waves the kids over. I'm like, oh, thank God, a nice ranger. He wants to talk to the kids. And he goes, hi, do you know what animal this is? He has a table out. We're trying to go to the elevators. Couldn't get past these people. He wanted his pound of flesh. And so he holds up a white-tailed deer and a puma and shows us a puma skull. And then he goes, one last thing. And he holds up a map of the park underground. And he says, 90% of this is off limits to humans. That's for the animals. Animals need a place too. I'm like, oh God, does it never end, this anti-human brainwashing? 90+% of the planet's totally untouched. The globalists are the ones destroying the environment. They got a fake environmentalism to grab property and control. But I didn't say that. I'm like, thank you, because we need to get through the park and get on the next leg of our investigative journey, as my children are basically apprenticing with me. I'm like, thank you. So then we walk out and go down to the natural entrance, because you can't just take the elevators down if you're lazy. And there's another one comes slinking over, and he says, no gum, no food, no this and that, don't talk. It disturbs the animals and the people. The lecturing continued and continued. I said, thank you. And he was all kind of creeping around, acting weird. And I'm like, God, this is horrible. Now, remember, I've been here at least 4 times before. This hadn't happened. So then we walk down into the cave, and 100 yards in, there's a camera and a sign that says, Cave Watch. If you see anything illegal, call this number. 3030 and had the code. Before those were there if you slipped and fell or needed help or whatever. Now it's tattle on people and cameras everywhere hidden up in cave crevices. And this goes on. And we don't see any of the park rangers. So we get down to the bottom, 800 feet down, and they're all there bossing people around and stuff. I talked to some. They were a little bit nice. Then I went and got back on the elevator where they had a little gift shop down at the bottom, went back up to the top. I got back off, saw more park rangers with guns and tasers. My family walked in the bathroom. I turned around, and a guy goes, sir, did you just come in because you need to buy a ticket right now, or this is the last 5 minutes to buy a ticket? But he kind of said it like, and I was like, okay, thank you. No, I've already been down, thank you. And it's just this oppressive culture of the American people are bad. The American people can't be trusted. Only government is good. They've got new Homeland Security ads in Denver that are airing, and training manuals that Paul Watson wrote about yesterday, where they say even your best friend can't be trusted. They could be a terrorist. Really, what about the government caught shipping drugs into the country? What about the government caught beating people to death? What about the government letting big mega banks rob people and putting their people in as federal regulators? What about all these other companies taking people's bank accounts like MF Global? I mean, what about that? See, this is about us learning to be perps, us learning to be criminals, us learning that we're bad, we have guilt, we're evil. And it just went on and on. There was a bunch of other nanny state stuff. So many, I had to write it down. But again, this park, 90% is off limits to you. In the final equation, if they discovered this cave like they did 100 and something years ago, today, they would guaranteed not let it be open to the public. There are already caves they found in the U.S., Canada, France, and other areas that are huge that they just say are off limits, vital biosphere area. It's all about treating us. We have no rights. We're scum. We're trash. We have no value. And the government is there with the big mega banks to basically pick up the garbage and throw it away. That's what's going on. And more, I mean, I've gone to state parks where they're super rude. Aaron Dykes tried to go to a state park, McKinney Ruff's, with his girlfriend a few weeks ago. And he said they interrogated him. Nice clean-cut guy, nice clean-cut girlfriend. They interrogated him like he'd done something wrong and said, is anybody else hiding in the car? It's like when you go rent a car, they interrogate you. Where are you going? What are you doing? Oh, really? Who are you visiting? It all goes in a Patriot Act database. And this is all fact. I mean, this is like Stasi, East Germany or something. So I wanted to follow this boil down before I also post the videos we shot in there today inside the cave and that cover some of what we just broke down here. But it's just all off the charts. So here's kind of a final boil down before I post all the pieces that were shot live inside the cave. Again, I'm Alex Jones signing off from the Southwest. I'll be reporting throughout the weekend and next week. You'll see our reports posted at prisonplanet.tv and Infowars.com. Thank you for watching.